to today's live stream. Welcome to Beyond Film School, where I teach you all about the film industry. And today we are kicking off 2024. So let me know you're here in the chat. Let me know where you're joining me from. And for this whole live stream, we're doing your questions. This is the whole point of this live stream is I'm doing this for you guys because you might have some very, very specific question to your situation, and I want to answer those hard questions because some people try to get like a little more vague and they're like, I don't want to bother Amber with something more specific or harder to answer. So this live stream is for you. We're kicking off 2024. But before we do that, I just want to get into something for what you can do for the year. And I know maybe you've been on my Instagram or my Facebook or whatever, however you see me, but I've been talking about goals. And I've been talking about goals way before the new year was even approaching. And I want everyone to know that you need to make sure that you set some goals. You have to make sure that it's more than just, oh, you know, starting January, I'm going to join a gym, because that's literally like what everyone does, and like only like 2% of the people actually do it throughout the year. So when you think about those odds, it's kind of crazy that people just don't stick to them. So I don't want you to attach your goals to the new year. I don't want anything to be like, well, for 2024, I'm going to do this. So I want you to set goals for your life, the next year, the next 5 years, the next month, the next week. You know, what are you going to do on a daily basis? Let's create those habits so you're not like, oh, this year I did this, and then like it drops off after the next year comes. So some of the things I talk about when it comes to goal setting is you want to know what your big giant dream is. Like for me, it's to be a first AD in the DGA on big budget movies where you see my name in theaters. That is still not happened for me, but it is definitely something I'm working towards. So I have that big pie in the sky dream, that huge goal, right? And then I had, you know, once upon a time, it's like, okay, I got to become a key PA. And then after that, it was like, I have to be, you know, a background runner. I have to be a second in DGA. I have to get into the DGA. So there was like all of these little steps along the way. So please, 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 like if you can take a moment, even like right now, later, in the next minute or so, like get a piece of paper, get your phone out. I really condone doing actual pen and paper, because when you're writing it, physically writing it, your brain processes that a little bit more than just something digitally in your phone. So get a piece of paper, get a pen, and write down your goals. What are you going to do for the next week? What are you going to do for the next month? What are you going to do till the summertime, quarterly, the next year to get to your film goals? Well, now, when people are talking about reconnecting, networking, you know, when we're going to meet our guests pretty soon, and I want to get into this, but how many people are you going to reach out to a day? How many people are you going to reach out to in a week, in a month? What are you going to do? Are you going to make sure you go to one networking event a month? Are you going to sign up for that new class where you want to hone your camera skills? Are you know, these are the things that it's more than just, I want to become a director or I want to make a short film. You have to really get really, really specific into the nitty gritty. So that's why I think if you set your goals, big ones, small ones, when things that pertain to other people, things that pertain to your skills, you start off the year on the right foot. So I want you guys to think about that throughout this live stream. And then if you want to share them in the chat, please, I want to like celebrate with you when you set those goals. And then when you would start to achieve them, I love when people contact me and they email me and they say, hey, I did this thing that you said to do and I did it, and I accomplished it, and I got on that set. Or I met 5 people and then I got on this other project or something. So definitely share your goals with me in the chat. I love hearing people's goals. I love sharing that. But let's meet our guest now. Robert Tierney is with me. He's a first assistant director. He is in DGA. He has done many, many different things. He's got years on me. Like, I know I've been working in, film since like, 2007 or something like that. But he was on union sets, I think, at that same time. So he's got years on me in the union world for sure. He's worked on Homeland. He's worked on Big Sky. He's worked on Equalizer. I think Orange is the New Black. Whole ton of stuff. So I'm just happy that Rob is here with us. And we have questions that people submitted before the live stream. So we're going to definitely get to those, and he's going to help me answer them. But if you have questions, put them in the chat, because I want to, like, you can really get hard because we have 2 minds here. We can get really challenging questions, and we can combine our forces and our experience and give you the best answer that we can. So I want to actually ask you how you got started in film.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on the channel, first and foremost. So I was in college, and I wanted to had an accounting major and wanted to open my own restaurant. It was something I kind of dabbled with in high school and worked at a restaurant. So opening a restaurant was the biggest thing for me. And then accounting just kicked my butt. I'm going to be completely honest. Just did not enjoy it, did not like it, hadn't got the grades for it. So I really wanted to switch majors and try something else. And then I happened to be home for a break and happened to be a family reunion. And at that family reunion, I met my dad's second cousin, who I've known a little bit but never met in person. And he was in the film and television industry. And he worked on some Jim Carrey movies in, I guess, the early 90s and 2000s, and was talking about how incredible being on set was and what an assistant director did. So I kind of just picked his brain, and I asked him, like, how do I get in the industry? You know, what should I be studying in college? So he kind of geared me towards communications, which I then changed my major to. And then I kept on talking with him through my college, and he was in Los Angeles and I was in the East Coast, but he mentioned that he had a contact in Law & Order, SVU, and to reach out. So he mentioned it to me, and I got so excited. And I think the first thing I did was I was a little overconfident. I was telling all my friends in college, I'm going to work on Law & Order, I'm going to work on Law & Order. And then I graduated, and then there was nothing. And so I really had to stay on top of Jonathan, who was my cousin, and kept asking, hey, is it now a good time? Can you reach out? You know, I would love to be able just to go to a day on a set and see what it's like. But it wasn't easy, and it took months and months and months, and finally I got a day, and that's when I really started to fall in love with this industry. I was on set for a day, and I was like, I can do this. I can make connections. I can do all these things, get coffee, all the little things, but it added up, and I knew that there was an end goal to be an assistant director, to join a union, and to really further my career. So that's kind of the journey to getting started in PA, and then it was just networking, and it was talking to the other PAs, and I really want to stress that, I think, because I didn't get jobs from other ADs, I didn't get jobs from other producers or anyone like that. It was the other PAs that I met on set. So it was letting them know, hey, I'm working 1 or 2 days on Law & Order. What are you working on? Are you working on another show? And if they need someone, I'm available. So then it was working on 2 to 3 different shows a week, and then it was up and down, and then I really was able to get the experience and the footing to become staff on shows, and then really kind of got close with another assistant director who really mentored me and was able to further my career to then start working on some of these big shows, and the rest is history, I guess.
So I want to point out a couple of things. I love the fact that this person that you didn't know at your reunion, like, he was part of your family, but this is, like, not the classic, like, nepotism story where it's like, oh, you're my, like, nephew or my son or something. This is, like, someone you didn't really know, and I thought that's interesting because with me doing this networking course that I have, the networking workshop that I have coming up, is I have to do, like, I want to just make sure that, like, the stuff that I'm telling people and that I experience and that I'm teaching other people, like, other people have also validated that. So, and a lot of the things that they talk about in these books that I was, like, reading to research the topic is loose ties. Right? It's not like the people you know really well. It's not your close friends that are giving you the jobs. It's the people you barely know that are, like, giving you a chance, or, like, you just meet on an off chance. So it's like those loose ties. So I just want everyone to, like, kind of, like, note that, because I think people are like, well, I barely know this person. Why are they going to help me? Well, like, Jonathan is, like, someone you barely knew. So I think that's a very, very interesting thing that is, like, yes, in your family, but extended family that was, like, you barely even knew. I think.
And I think it's important to talk to other people about what you want to do. I could have met him at the reunion and could have talked about any other thing, but I decided to talk about what I was studying in college, what my goals and dreams were, and then I asked him, hey, what do you do? And I think that was so important because then that started the conversation. So we could have crossed paths at that reunion and nothing could have happened, but it was myself wanting to be curious in what he did, and he could have said he's a plumber, and then maybe I would have been a plumber. But he was an assistant director, and that piqued my interest. So it's you never know who you're going to meet and when you're going to meet him. So always thinking about kind of how you can get information off other people and how you can connect with them. And that networking class sounds amazing because that's what it's all about. It's about how you interact with other people, whether you are relatives or just friends or someone you're meeting for the first time. But it's so important to know what to say and to be able to connect with them on their level so that they remember you and they can give you an opportunity, or you can give them an opportunity. So I think it's really important.
So connecting with them on their level.
Yeah, no,
What do you mean?
I think connecting with them with what they, we talked about Jim Carrey movies, and he worked on them, and I was able to relate to them because I used to, watch a lot of Jim Carrey movies, and so we connected that. So connecting on levels is in their interest. What are they interested in? Whether it's food or whether it's sports or whether it's books. So it's just important to kind of have that knowledge and be able to understand, what they like. So I think that's...
I feel like there are some people that you're not going to have a lot of... Like, you can't have something in common with absolutely everybody. I mean, I imagine you probably could. Like, okay, we're from New York City. Do you know what I mean? Like, we live in the same state. Okay, that's kind of like too far-fetched. But we're talking like a little bit deeper. Like, do you both have a passion for dogs? Or do you both like to run? Or do you like, and I think that it's very important when it comes to networking is trying to find where your common ground is with another person. And I think there's always, you have to just dig a little bit deeper. And what I always see all the time is people are like really on the surface. A lot of times they just kind of glaze over to certain things that are, just really, oh, you went to this school? Oh, yeah. You did this? And it's not as deep. So I did want to comment on how you were like talking to other PAs. Rob did the exact opposite of what I did, and he got a lot further faster than I did. Because he talked to other PAs, and I had the problem of like, I don't need anyone's help, and I thought like other people were trying to use me every time they started a conversation, but Rob used that to his advantage, and he was like, I think just in general, you're just naturally more people person, and you're just like talking to people, whereas I'm like, I don't want to talk to you. So I love that you said, like, I talked to other PAs. I didn't start talking to other PAs until like years into my career.
Yeah, no, it was definitely something that I right away was able to connect with other people. And I used to write my name piece of paper and have like 4 or 5 pieces of paper in my pocket, in my book bag, and used to give them out. There wasn't like digital like Instagram.
He made his own business card.
Basically, I had to because I knew I wasn't going to be able to spend the time writing it down, so I had it ahead of time just to give out to other PAs. Here's my name, my number, and that was important to me because that was the way I was going to get other jobs. I realized that really quick that it's not advertised on on the internet as much as other positions and jobs. So you really have to think kind of outside the box. How can I get my name out to other people? And in that situation, it was the other PAs. Because I was brought on big PA days. There was always 10 to 15 PAs. So I made sure I said hi to every single one of them that I could, introduce myself, and be able to give my name out. Because you just never know when they are going to be on another job and the key PA says to them, hey, do you know any PAs? 2 PAs just canceled because they were sick. And they could say, oh, this guy, Rob Tierney, gave me his number. Here it is. And I believe word of mouth really showed, how much of a go-getter I was and how hardworking I was, and I was able to get a lot of jobs through that.
Way better at it than I was. Plus, you're just overall a lot nicer. I think your vibe is way more warm and welcoming than I could ever achieve.
There's different paths, though. There's different paths, and I think that's what makes this industry so incredible is that there's different paths. Any kind of personality, you just have to be driven. You just have to have that drive, and whether it's giving everyone your name and number, and if you don't feel comfortable doing that, giving the people that you feel comfortable doing.
Right. So, I think that's really important because I think people feel pressure of like, I have to give out my things to everybody. But for me, what I know now and like what I do now is I only contact the people that I feel honestly comfortable with. Like, there are those moments where I'm like, oh, I really want to talk to this person. Okay, I have to reach out and get a little uncomfortable. But for the most part, I know that I have a connection with certain people. Therefore, I'm going to be like, this is the person I'm going to reconnect with. And I want to make sure that that person is, we have a thing. I just can't reach out to people that I'm like, hey, what's going on? Like, I can sometimes, but for the most part, it's always with someone I know that we have a thing, even if it's been a couple months or maybe a couple years or something like that we haven't contacted each other.
I think that's tough in the beginning because you want to get your name out, and I think when you're lucky enough to only be able to want to work with people that you love to work with, then that's great. But in the beginning, I think you have to come out of your comfort zone a little bit, because you don't know how they're able to work on set. You don't know how they are as a person. So you have to get to know them. So you might have to work with people you don't like working with in the beginning, just to make other connections. So I think that's important as well. You're not going to be able to only work with the most amazing people. You're going to have to work. But that's going to make you a stronger person. That's going to make you a stronger PA and AD, because all those types of personalities are all over sets. There's yellers. There's people that are too calm. There's people that,
Yeah, the too relaxed folks really scare me. I'm like, how are you not?
It's definitely interesting. So you just have to find your spot and your place and be able to connect with other people.
I'm gonna go to the chat really quick. Okay, we have Obi-Wan. Hello, Obi-Wan. He is my live stream like ride or die person. I love how he's always here. Obi-Wan. Sylvia, I feel like you've definitely been here before. I haven't seen you in a while, so thank you for joining us. Amanda, Curiel, hi Curiel, and Daniel Scarpati, Passing Planes Productions. Happy New Year. I love you, man. You're awesome. And everyone, if you don't know who Daniel Scarpati is, he's the author of Gophers. Go get his book because he's awesome.
Yeah, he's just an incredible person to talk with. He's so knowledgeable about the industry, and he's always got something going on. He's always looking for, the next big thing. So check him out on all of his Instagrams and his socials, because he's a great person to know. And I look forward to continuing our friendship, throughout the next year.
Yeah, Danielle, I gotta write you an email about all the things I have for this year for us to do. I haven't written that email yet, Danielle, if you're still here. He's probably not here anymore. He popped in to say hi. So we have a really good question from Revitron Prime. How do I make myself more memorable when networking? I'm still outside the industry. Do I need a reel? So Revitron, a couple of questions for you before we dive into this question. What are you trying to do? What is the goal? Because we need to tailor it to if you need a reel, because sometimes if I'm a set dresser, I don't necessarily need a reel. If I'm a production designer, then I would need some type of reel, right? If I'm a director, I do. If I'm an AD, I don't. Although I have gotten someone to asked me do you have a reel? And I was like, I'm an AD. Do you want me to give you footage of me making the schedule or something?
Yeah. Is that just a video of my resume? I'm not sure.
So how do I make myself more memorable when networking? I'm going to tackle that question first, because I think when you make yourself memorable, people are like, I have to do some outlandish thing. I have to do something crazy, or something I have to be a little more obnoxious or rambunctious or bigger than I really am, or way more extroverted or something. And I think when it becomes a real memorable connection is when you actually connect on a level with that person. So, for example, we just said if you do have a passion for dogs, both you guys like dogs, right? That could be something. Or I remember I remember most of my trainees, but one trainee that sticks out is this trainee Nick, that it was in my very last class last year in August. He put on his resume that he was a distance runner. I run half marathons. I run as much as I can. And I think that with him being a runner and me being a runner, I'm like, oh, and I remember in the training, I was like, I want to talk to you. That's something that we could talk about and relate on, is that it's things outside of film.
Yeah, that's great.
It's really things outside of film. It's like you can talk about your short films and what your favorite movie is and stuff like that. Because sometimes you might be like, oh my God, The Dark Knight was the best movie ever made, and Christopher Nolan's amazing. You can have that connection too. But sometimes it's those things outside of work, those hobbies and interests that really are going to connect you with somebody.
Yeah, and I think the word memorable can be as simple as a connection that you have that becomes easy for you. It doesn't have to be some big fireworks and something that's out of the box. It can be just something that, oh yeah, I remember he got me lunch the other day when we were on Firewatch, or he was one that made sure I had some water when I was on a Firewatch or something like that. Mm-hmm. So it can be something simple like that. So yeah. I would less think about the memorable part as just connecting with someone, just doing a nice thing. So I would rephrase it to, how can I do something nice for someone on set? And that alone will make them remember you more than something memorable.
I think there is something to be said about making sure that you're there for the other people on set. and making sure that you come from a place of service, because that's how I become a better AD on set. I don't know what your mindset is when you are in that role. For me, I look at it as a performance. I step into a role, I'm acting now as an AD. That's how I get through that. Like, my introvert self is like, that's how I muster up the energy somehow. But I look at it as, I'm there to serve the crew. I want us to have a great day. I am there to set the morale. Like, I come from a place of, like, I am serving them. I am serving the director. I am serving the producers because they hired me to do this job for that day. So I look at it from a place of service. And when you go from what I can do for other people rather than what they can do for me, things just start coming to you automatically, and you don't have to try. So when you're in like, when you're first on the outside, maybe you're at a networking event and you're like you said that you're still on the outside of the industry. I'm looking at your chat really quick, and you said I'm on the outside. So if you start to go to networking events, and maybe you were talking to somebody and they ran out of water, and you got water for everybody. Like, I specifically remember this happening at the last networking event I went to, is that someone brought the water, and I wanted to talk to her. I remember her face. I wanted to talk to her, and I said, but that's the thing, is that, like, I remember this happening. It's like, she brought water for everybody while we're all, like, drinking like fish. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Drinking alcohol, like, and also another thing that I think outside of just being from a place of service is funny things that connect you. Another example, I think, I'm a real big fan of the dot card. I swear I'm not an affiliate. I swear they're not advertising through me.
The way you keep mentioning
I just love it so much. It's like a little card. You're like, it's like your business card, but then, like, all your socials come up on the thing, right? But I didn't get mine in time because I ordered one in December and it didn't come in time to this networking event that I went to. So, like, I'm talking to this woman. She was Ukrainian, and we were talking about how she was an AD and how she's an editor. We're talking all about that. In the corner of my eye, I see someone pull out their dot card, and they put it on the phone. And I looked over, and I was like, oh my God, you have one? Mine didn't come in yet. I love it. And I started talking to her because of that thing that connected us. So now I remember her name was Midge. She was a casting director. It's really strange how you remember these things. So I think service, doing things for other people, but also I'm pretty sure she remembers me because I was like, oh my God, this thing. She's like, that bitch is crazy, but also yeah.
And you're doing it right now. You're on this live stream. You're asking these questions. So right. We're gonna remember you, and we're gonna remember that. So you just did something memorable that you didn't even know. So that's what I think it comes down to, is doing things that are natural to you. They become memorable. So it's not doing something to become memorable. It's, doing it and not knowing it, but in the end, that's the result of it. So just keep being who you are, keep networking, keep talking to people, keep going to live streams, and, keep staying in touch with Amber.
Yeah, I feel like definitely keep putting yourself out there. And, I mean, if you saw the connecting live stream one, that's for people who are just starting out. Like, start messaging people. Go on LinkedIn. Start connecting with the people that you want to become. If it's to be a DP, then start connecting with those director of photographies. Be like, hey, how did you get started? What do you do? Blah, blah, blah. All that stuff. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the chat. You wrote something. Understood. Being nice, connecting, being memorable. Thank you for answering. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you too. I'm trying to be a PA and eventually a script supervisor. Okay, so this is perfect. So you're trying to be a PA and then a script supervisor. So you don't necessarily need a reel to be a script supervisor. I feel like that is a safe thing, right? You don't need a reel to be a script supervisor. But what you do need is to get on set. And I do recommend definitely go on LinkedIn, because people are on LinkedIn, and that is the professional network where you can talk to someone like, can I just pick your brain about what you do and how you got started? Like, literally you can write that. Like, I want to become one day. I'm not there yet, but, like, what is your experience? Also, Rev-Time Prime, I don't know, have you seen the series that I did recently with all the script supervisors? Like, I did 4 or 5 videos about real advice from script supervisors. Like, definitely gain skills, like get beyond continuity, get certain books, there's certain training that happens. I know that they do have workshops about script supervising that are a few $1,000s, but it's real intense. They teach you all the things. I don't know. I think I can probably look it up real quick of what those workshops are. There's one that I know of that's really, really good, but you're going to learn from real script supervisors how to be one. But definitely, if trying to be a PA, reach out and let people know, like, hey, I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to get on set. Get on any set you can, guys. I'm not even kidding. Get any set you get, because honestly, when it gets to like, hey, networking, actors are making, like on those small sets, the actors are producers of other small things, and then it just keeps building and building from there. So honestly, get on set, get on anything you can, music videos, commercials, web series, I don't know, anything, and then start going from there. But then also like reach out to other script supervisors.
Yeah, the best you can do is do something for free. Do something, on any of these web pages and on the internet that you can find student films, and through colleges that are near you. And there's always a way to meet people and do something for free in the beginning.
I just want to thank Dallas Dan Digital Productions for our super thanks there. $5. Thank you so much. We loved it. Okay, so I do want to hop into... Oh, you know what? I do want to talk to Rob about goals. How did you start setting goals? Like, what were... Because I feel like your system of how you go about your film career, it's like, you have to talk to certain people, and you have to, like, reach out. And, like, how did you... Also, he skipped a part in his story where he talked about how ADs were like, you'll never be an AD. They didn't say it like that. But
yeah, no, I'll tell that story really quick. But I was on Law & Order SVU for so long, and it's a great show, and they really, to this day, they do a great job with their PAs, and they throw their PAs in different positions. So I was able to be a key PA, a walkie PA throughout that show. But then I got to a point where I did all the positions, and I think I was just struggling, and I wasn't my true self. So instead of being motivated to kind of go outside the circle of Law & Order, I was kind of stuck. And I was in a position where I was willing to do anything just to stay on the show. And I think they almost felt bad for me in saying, well, how about locations? It's a very people person industry. And so I said to them, sure, I'll try. But it didn't come natural to me, and I didn't see, it wasn't my end goal to be an AD, and that wasn't something that I loved to do. And then luckily, literally a week before I was supposed to start, I was offered... Locations
manager.
Yeah. Well, I was supposed to know a locations assistant. You had to start low.
Yeah.
And then a week before I was supposed to start, I got a job as a key PA on a small movie called Harold, and I had to take it. And I think that was just me... because I felt bad. I was letting people down. I maybe was burning some bridges, but I felt like my career was still to become an AD. So I was very lucky enough and fortunate enough to take that movie, and that kind of launched me outside the Law & Order. And I made so many contacts to this day. I see people that I worked with on that small movie. So that's that story. And then the goals. You want me to talk about goals?
Yeah, so how did you get started with, like, because I know that Rob has a system of, he contacts 2 people a day.
Yeah, so it's connecting with 2 or 3 people a day. Some days it's one person, but keeping track of what they're doing and if they responded or not, I think was the biggest thing that I learned from that process, because there's people that you thought you connected with that have moved on or are busy, but people that say, hey, I'm on a job right now, but I'll be off in February or March, or people that say, hey, let me know in April. Maybe I have a movie. So it's remembering and writing those down was the biggest thing that I felt was super necessary, because then I followed through. And I always talk about the follow through, being able to 2 months later say, hey, you told me to contact you in 2 months. Here I am. Hey, I'm just starting a job. Here's some dates. Are you available? So it's just connecting, but it's following through, and it's writing stuff down or on the computer. So
I think the follow through is very, very important, because a lot of people just let that just go. Yeah. Where I've gotten so many people that say, oh, someone, at my college said, reach out when you're in New York or when you're in LA or Atlanta, and should I reach out? Like, I get this question at least 2-3 times a year. And like, someone different is like, should I reach out to this person that told me to reach out to them? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely do it.
Definitely, like, the follow-up is so important, because for me, like, if I guess for my Set PA trainees, I tell them in every class that I do, at the end of the class, I give them my number, and I say, it is your job to text me your name, when you're available, because it's like, that's the follow-up. I've extended the opportunity, and then if they don't give me their number, they don't text me, they don't say when they're available, I won't reach out to them, because then I just don't know. So I think the follow-up is super important.
I agree completely.
So I'm gonna go to the chat because Obi-Wan has got. Oh yeah, I've been watching your Script Supervisor videos, but not all of them yet. Definitely, there's only like a few, and I hope they're not. I think I've kind of shortened them a little bit, so they're not too bad. But too bad is in length, because I think some people are like 25 minutes of a video. Jesus Christ. Still working through your videos. You're a wealth of knowledge. Thank you so much for saying that. I appreciate that, because I think that a lot of people are like, oh my God, Amber, your channel is so underrated. You deserve more views and subscribers. It's like, my channel is like super niche because I'm not talking about camera gear and I'm not talking about setting up the shot and like your lightings and like your equipment and stuff, which that is like the number one thing that people in film talk about. I talk about the things like people getting in and how they get how the network and get their next job and like positions and responsibilities. No one ever talks about that. So thank you for saying that, wealth of knowledge. Thank you so much. Obi-Wan, you mentioned Firewatch, so I'm looking for your opinion on this. When I'm on Firewatch, do I count as available? For example, if someone asks for something flown in no. If you're on Firewatch, that is your responsibility, and you are not available because someone has to be there. The reason why they put you on Firewatch is because the gear, equipment, or whatever they put you there for, that means no one else is there. Until they take you off of Firewatch, you are not available.
Yeah, so just let your key PA know, hey, someone's looking for something on set. Obviously I can't do that. So if you want me to do that, just have someone swap me out. Your job there is to make sure no one takes the equipment that's on the truck, that's on the sidewalk. So unfortunately, you're not available, but tell them you're not available for that reason, so that person understands why you're not available. Not that you're just don't want to do that. I don't feel like doing that.
Right. I think adding on to Obi-Wan, or how would you handle it, especially as someone who is brand new? If you're brand new, I think that if you are the only person that can hear that, then definitely reaching out to your key PA is like the number one thing to do, because he or she is going to like doll out the delegation and the tasks that have to happen, because that's a big mistake of like new PAs is they will be like, they want to run and do everything when they're already doing like 5 things. It's like they want to be the one utilized all the time when you're already doing something, but you can't take it upon yourself to go and do the thing. You have to make sure that the key PA is aware, so they can go and delegate whatever has to be done.
I was that PA. I was the PA that was just like stepping on everyone. I'm on it. I'll do it. Carrying 8 things and then forgetting someone's order. And what do they remember you as? You forgot that one order.
Right.
So not taking on too much as a PA is something that come to mind is something that's really important. Do what your responsibility is, but watch what other people do. Understand what their responsibilities are. But stepping on people's toes and especially other PAs is not the way to make connections. It's helping them, but understanding that, yes, they have more responsibility. And the toughest thing was that I thought I could do a better job. I thought I was smarter than them, but you have to kind of do your time, build up your days, get the experience, and know when to ask for more responsibility, or it'll come naturally. They'll give you more responsibility. They'll ask you, hey, can you help with background? You were really good the other day with those kids, or things like that. So it's not stepping on people's toes and, being able to understand what your responsibility is.
I think with that, and it is all about establishing the trust, because it all starts with the small task of like getting someone's coffee or getting someone's food order. If they can trust you with that, they'll give you another thing. Oh, then now they're like, okay, why don't you wait for this cast member to land? Okay, then they can trust you with that. That thing got done. Oh, now they're like, you know what? Why don't you check in background like the next thing or whatever? Or why don't you help destroy walkies while the walkie PA is on doing this? It all starts with the small things, and I think people take that for granted, and they're like, I don't want to get coffee for anybody. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. Well, you have to remember that they give you the small task to test you. And I tell my set PAs all the time in the training, like, every task, every responsibility is a test for the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing. If you can't handle getting coffee, how am I going to trust you to get background ready by yourself and holding? Yeah. And, like, that's a big responsibility. How are you handling those types of things? It's like, it's all a build.
And it's not even that you can complete them. It's how you complete them.
Yeah.
With what kind of attitude are you? Are you just like, here's your breakfast? Or you're like, hey, here's your breakfast. Do you want anything else? Or how can I do something else for you with that? I think going above and beyond the simple tasks will go a long ways. I sat on corners for 10 hours, 12 hours. But after
Same.
that, I went to the QPA instead of saying, hey, do you need me for anything else? Can I go home now? With that exhaustedness that was obviously, was how I felt. It was like, hey, I'll go do an out time at one of the trucks if you need me to, or I'll start collecting walkies. So it is hard, but it's how you do those things,
Yes.
not how fast you do them, and not the way that you think that should be done. You really have to put on, a certain
good
face.
attitude.
Good attitude.
Right?
That's
this
it.
is a good attitude. And I think
Yeah.
when you're there and you're like, you are in the mindset of, I'm here to do the job to help production. And when you come from that place, then you're like, oh, it's not my time to go home yet. Do you know what I mean? So I'm going to go back to the chat because Obi-Wan. So, yeah,
Blowing it up.
my poor friend had to deal with it and a lack of PAs on set. The key had them come off to set, grab something because one of the other PAs had gone to a different location due to power outages. So this is definitely a classic case of everyone is just spread too thin. Happens on all sets. So unfortunately, this happens. This is like you have too little PAs, too many things to do. I was in the production office when that blew up in a massive argument between department heads. It was so uncomfortable. I've definitely been in that argument with other department heads or like a UPM or a producer. And I remember I was working on one movie in Connecticut, and first day, they only gave me, because I was the key PA, and they only gave me the 4 core staff. It was like me, a walkie PA, first team, only one first team PA, and a paperwork PA. There was like only 4 of us, and then it was like me. I think there was like a background PA. There was only just, I think, 5 in total. Like paperwork PA doesn't really count because they're not there until later. So early in the morning, we were there, and we were at, gosh, where was it? Crew parking was also catering in the same spot, but then holding and then set were 2 different areas. And logistically speaking, they're like a van drive away from everything. And that makes it hard because, okay, you want a PA in each spot to make sure the AD department is represented, because no one wants to go to set and then there's no one there from the AD department. Could be a second, could be the first AD, or, some key PAs usually got to be there or something. But then I couldn't be on set, but also I was gaffing vans back at catering. And then like, there was like no bathrooms or something at crew parking. And then the video guy starts screaming in my face. He was like, I was like, I don't really know why you're yelling at me, but that's not my fault that there's no bathrooms here, So, but later on, it's like, because they knew that I was spread too thin. I couldn't be in 2 places at once. And that's what I told them. And I was like, later on, he was like, yeah, I was a dick. I'm sorry, LD. I was like, yeah, it was really like, that was really uncalled for. But then also I've had people, like when I was a first AD on certain indie things where, the grip, the key grip or the gaffer wants the truck open, but then I don't have enough PAs to fire watch, to do all the things we have to do. And I've gotten to screaming matches with them and like, hey, just close your fucking truck. Close the truck, lock it up. I know it takes more effort, but I have no bodies available to just waste at your truck. So I've definitely had those situations happen. So God bless that PA, Obi-Wan. It's very, very uncomfortable. But that's the thing for me, is like, I'm there for the confrontation. 100%. Like, I'm there, like, you want to yell at me? You want to scream at me? I will let you yell and scream and then make you feel like an asshole afterwards. Like, I'm there for it. Like, please scream at me. Please. Go ahead. So, let's see. Saeed. Also, I have a lot of channel members here. Thank you so much for being a channel member, first and foremost. Thank you so much. And joining me on this live stream. It's great that I have different people because I'm doing it at a different time, because usually my live streams are Sunday at 1. So I'm glad I'm doing this Tuesday at 1. Saeed, any suggestions on getting on non-student sets? I'm in my 3rd year of film school and I'm not sure how I should go about getting my name out there. My goal is to get in the sound department. Oh my God. Yo, what I'm going to tell you right now is going to blow your mind, Saeed. Sound people love to get new people into the department, okay? They are often the forgotten heroes. If you want to get into the sound department, reach out to people in sound and just say, I want to be a sound mixer, I want to be a boom operator, or whatever you're trying to do in sound. They will take you under their wing very graciously and be like, yes, join us. Like, I am not even lying. Sound people are the best people. They're the most unique folks ever. So if you're trying to get into sound, a lot of sound mixers and boomer operators, they love to just apprentice. So you get on set with them. You may have to do some freebie days, but it will get you those lines of like the credit on your resume, the lines on your resume. It's like definitely reach out to sound people. So that's my first thing. I would say don't even waste time being a PA. Skip over the PA. I mean, everyone should be a PA to get like the lay of the land on real sets, but reach out to people on LinkedIn. Yeah. Go to people who are sound mixers, or go on Facebook groups and look up sound department film groups or something, and then like you put your city site. I don't know where you're based out of, but like usually there's gonna be a lot of Facebook groups that are tailored to, like Script Supervisors have one, editors have one, ADs don't have one. We're just weird. I don't know why we don't have one.
We used to have one. We used to have a Google kind of be able to. All the DJ second ADs just talk.
Oh, really? Well, that's like, I don't know why we don't have a Facebook group, but like I feel like Local Zero Heroes is like our realm. Like the ADs and PAs are in Local Zero Heroes, but there are definitely Facebook groups you can like tap into. Like I feel like sound department, like that is they're not really talked to a lot.
And
so.
it is one of the most important ones. We always say as ADs and as filmmakers, you know, you can fix the shot if it's not centered or if it's a little blurry or something, but if the sound is bad, there's nothing you can do.
You gotta re-record it. There's nothing you can do.
So you have to do it again. So LinkedIn is great, and ask them to coffee. Say, hey, do you want to grab a coffee? And then pick their brain. Come with the prepared questions. Yeah. And that just shows that you are passionate about it. And if you can shadow them, or if you can even come by when they're filming outside, you know, it is tough to get in, but yes, they do love that other people have that passion of it, because it is one of those that are a little bit overlooked in how to get in, and I don't even know what you study in college for that, but it is something that people enjoy, and I appreciate as a first AD, good sound, good communication with them, so that's a great department to go into.
Find to be interesting, because I've seen on so many sets where the AD and the sound department are like always like this. They're constantly like, oh, we gotta wait for sound to wire. We have to wait for sound to come in. I'm like, it is half the movie.
Yeah, but I think they always like to have that boom like right here. So that means having the frame right there. So, and directors like to be wide. They like to see the world. And then when they do that, sound can't get their perfect kind of shot. So it is a struggle, because they're always saying, are you going to go tighter? Are you going to go tighter? And you're always like, yes,
and then you never go tighter.
But and it's not up to me, it's up to the director. So there is a battle between us, or the DP. Yeah, right. There is a battle between us, but you know, just understanding that they're just doing their job, you know, by asking and by trying to get the perfect sound, because it is so important. So it's a great position to go into.
I love all the questions. We have to backtrack though, because I wanted to ask you. I'm getting back to the goals, because I'm thinking about it. I'm like, oh, we never finished that conversation. Okay. But how did you start setting the goal to reach out? When did you start doing that, like 2 people a day? How did that even get started? Like, when did you start doing that?
Wow, I don't know if there was a specific time. I think I just knew. I was gathering all these contacts in my phone, and I was trying to think about what is a way that I could not do it all in one day and then feel like all these people aren't responding. So I wanted to spread it out. So I went through my phone, went through all my contacts, wrote all these names down. Then I researched, when was the last time I talked to them? You know, what are they doing? Are they on any of the production lists? And then I realized if I do 1 or 2 a day, then there's small wins. And I think not doing them all in one day was like, okay, now what do I do? So doing 1 or 2 a day, and then understanding that there's going to be days where no one reaches back to you, and then there's going to be days where you get 2 people that reach back to you. So I think just being able to realizing I have all these people that I did connect with, even if it was 10, 15 years ago, how can I connect with them now? What are they up to? And I think a lot of people appreciate that. Hey, Happy New Year. Now is the perfect time, everyone.
Guys,
reach
out.
Send
your texts out.
You can say Happy New Year. And I think it's genuine, because you can put something in a text that's personable. Don't just write Happy New Year. Write Happy New Year, you know, hope to work with you in the future. Or Happy New Year, how's that project that you were going on? Or how's that trip that you went on, you know, that you knew about. So connecting with them on a level that you not only get a Happy New Year back, but you get a Happy New Year back, and hey, I'll be thinking about you. I just started a movie in a couple weeks or something, or I just started a show in a few weeks. So making it personable, using Happy New Year as a kind of a way to break the ice a little bit is important. So, but goals, you know, just understanding that I had a lot of people that I worked with. I've been in this industry for almost 15 years, so I worked on a lot of people. So
I feel like it's more. I like 19 years, something like that. Sorry,
as
I'm
an
not
AD,
aging you.
yeah, but yeah, I guess 20 years almost as a PA.
So with the goals, 2 people a day, it breaks it down to smaller chunks that you can do, because I think people get overwhelmed with like, I have to, like, I think there's 2 different things. There's one where it's like, oh, I'm going to take a day and I'm going to like contact everyone I know in one day. Well, that's a lot. That's a lot of hours you might invest, and some people do not have that type of time. But then there's the other one, if you do it your way, it's that constant thing where like, oh my God, I have to do it again and do it again. But it's so small, where I feel like it's such a small chunk that it's totally achievable. Yeah. And I think, did you reach the point where you ran out of context to?
I'm getting close. You know,
strike here was tough.
And that's okay. That's okay. Now I'm at a point where I have to think of something else to do. You know, maybe it's reaching out to friends, you know, that not necessarily worked for, being able to go on the DJ website and look that way. So there's other ways now that I'm trying to focus on and are becoming more aware of, now that I've kind of ran through my contacts in the last 2 months since the strike has ended. But I feel confident that it's going to get busier and more contacts will start reaching out to me.
I think with the strike, and you can only reconnect with so many people, right? And then that's when you start doing the whole, like, there's, like, reconnecting, and then there's, like, connecting with new people. And people are like, Amber, why are you going to network events? Because I only know so many people, right? And I think that's really good. It's a good practice to make sure you know how to reconnect with people you've worked with. But it's also a good practice to know how to connect with people who you don't know, or are friends of friends, or whatever the case. But like, you are just not in their world. So I think it's like 2 different disciplines and 2 different practices.
Yeah, and it's timing too. Having the time now, this is the time to connect with new people, because, you know, in a month you're going to be busy, you're going to be on a job. So connecting with new people and being able to go out on a weekday to a networking event isn't going to be there. Right. So utilizing the time you have now, because it will become more busy in the future.
All right, so I want to get into some of the questions that we got prior to. So we're starting with Tabitha. I love Tabitha. She was one of the directors on my film challenge. She directed The Fox. So if you guys check out this movie, because it won Best Movie and Best Director, and what else? God, there were some other things. I don't know. Best Editing, Best Cinematography. She's done a lot. And also she just did like another short. So like, shout out to Tabitha. But her question was, I thought it was great. My question is about filming locally. How would you go about approaching a small business in your neighborhood about filming after business hours for about an hour? The owner is a neighbor, but I'm not sure how to begin the conversation. So I know Obi-Wan, this was in the Filmmaker Start. And if you guys want to join that group, I'll put the link in the chat for you. That is my personal Beyond Film School private group for you guys. I give all the things and advice I can to people who are just starting out. And I think, Obi-Wan, you had added something in there, and it was just like start a conversation. I think the biggest barrier here is fear. Because you're like, I don't know how they're going to react, right? I don't know how this is going to go. And I think the unknown and dealing with the fear of the situation is the biggest hurdle, where it's just like, I just got to go. And then now you're like, okay, what am I going to say to this person? For me, I would just, if it's a neighbor, it's like, hey, I live in the neighborhood. I'm just starting out as a director. I am filming this thing. I would love to use your location. I think starting with like why you want to use it, like this is a really great thing that I think, first of all, you're in my community, because I think a lot of the times when films are made, they don't use the community enough like they should. It's like they are in a certain community, but then they build out sets that don't really exist in that community. So I think when you're a short filmmaker and you want to use a business for what it is, and you're like, this would be perfect for my film I just wrote, and I mean, if you can throw them money, then offer up like, I only can give you like maybe $100 or something like that. We're only going to be there an hour, and we can do it on your time. It's all about like, what can you offer them and make it the most convenient thing. Like, go into like this conversation with why you want to do it at their place, because they're going to want to know why. You can't just be like this one-off person who's going to be like, I want to use the location because it's I just need it for my film. Well, it looks great, it's perfect, it has a certain vibe. Like, you have to speak to like, not to like appeal to their ego, but that's when I think of me owning a business, And someone said to me, like, Amber, I want to film you doing your Set PA class. I think it'd be really good for this documentary that I'm making. And I'd be like, first of all, I want to know why. And like, Amber, I really like I'm just like talking about myself here, but it's the only example I have is my own business. Where like, I thought that you have a really good technique talking to students, right? And I want to capture that. Well, that's like appease them. What is it about their location that you feel fits your film, right? What is it that you like about it? So appease them, and then like, I was thinking of filming on this day. I'm willing to be flexible outside of business hours so it doesn't affect your business, but hoping that we can do it after. Like, you can just spell all this out for them. Sometimes it might not work out. They may not want to be like, you know what, I'm not going to let a filmmaker into my location. You have to then move on. I think some people are like, oh, don't take no for an answer, but I think harassing locations is not the last thing. No. It's like the last thing you want to do.
Especially if it's in your neighborhood. I think for me, it's letting them know what the topic is, letting them know what the situation is. You know, I think the subject matter of the short film. Some subject matters are, you know, a little bit harder to sell than other subject matters. So being honest with them, and then being able to say, hey, I was thinking maybe are the 10 people, the 8 people that we're going to do this short film, we're going to come to dinner the next day. So being able to give back to that establishment, whether it's giving them money up front or being able to say, hey, you know, I have 10 friends, we all live in a neighborhood, and maybe we'll make this a spot we come to for like a wrap party, some sort of thing like that. So it's just being honest with them, timing wise, and what the subject matter is would be my advice. And then what's the worst thing they can say? It's no, and then you say, I understand.
Right.
You know, it's their space. And, you know, but having insurance is a big thing in case something does break. And so they're going to ask that, you know, in case something does fall.
Don't bring it up if they don't ask about it, though.
I guess that's the smart thing. But they're going to ask a lot of questions, especially if other big, you know, kind of shows have filmed there previously. It's a huge fee. But, again, saying your neighborhood is a great idea because they're going to want to, you know, build that relationship with you so you come back on a regular basis.
Also, what I would suggest is making sure that you show their store logo as their own, because then it might get them to be like, oh, you're going to be in my movie, your brand or your store or whatever business is going to be shown in my movie. But also, another thing I wanted to add is you said in your neighborhood about filming after business hours for about an hour. So is that a realistic shooting time? Because is it one shot? Because if it's one shot, establishing shot outside, okay, I got you, 1 hour, perfect. But then any more than one shot is going to take more than 1 hour. So I think you have to make sure that you are realistic with the timing, because if you promise a business owner that it is 1 hour and then you take 5, you're not going to get your shots. They're going to kick you out, and then you just burn that bridge. So just make sure that you're realistic about the things you need in there, because when you think about it, you need at least like a half hour to get everyone in to talk about the shot. You need at least and that's if you just have a camera, like a DSLR, and you got like one actor and then yourself and maybe, you know, one other person for crew. Yeah. Like, just getting people into the spot, seeing what it is, rehearsing what it is. I would say at the bare minimum, you need 3 hours.
Yeah. And the last thing you want to do is be rushing your project on a timeline that you said to them. Because maybe they have more time, maybe they have less time. So doing it in 2 nights or being flexible with what their needs are is important as well. But definitely give yourself enough time, and always give yourself more than enough time. Because you never know what's going to happen. A camera is the battery needs to charge, or things like that we can't control. Or the lens is foggy, or something. Or it's raining or something. So, you know, be able to be flexible and just be upfront with them in the beginning.
Also, if you make sure you pad that timing and you get out early, they're going to love it. They're going to be like, wow, you were only here for 2 hours. This is amazing. So I think that is when you like pad it a little bit more and then you're out early, that is like the best case scenario for you.
Trick of being an AD. Always give yourself more time than you need, because then you look like the hero.
But not too much time.
Not too much time, because then
you scheduled wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, I'm going to go to the next question. Okay, so this is from Amanda. Thank you for submitting a question, because I know you're here with us. Still, are you? Yeah, I think she's still here with us. Mine is about lack of support. How can someone address the lack of family, I think if there's there's a typo there, but I think you're just like lack of family support, and they feel about it even though the people in your circle want you to succeed. I've dealt with it recently. Now, I've had this when I was getting into film. Some of you may or might not know the story, but when I was day playing and I first moved to New York City, I like rented a room, and I was like being a barista while also trying to get days on set. My mom was just like, knowing that I had camera experience and I was a videographer and I can edit and I can do all the things, you know, there's a reason why I can do a YouTube channel, because I can do all the things. And she's like, just do weddings, Amber. Just come home back to Buffalo. Just do weddings. I'm like, Mom, I would want, like, that would be the last thing I do with my camera skills, okay? I don't want to photograph weddings. I don't want to videotape weddings. I don't want to do any of these things. So I think the lack of support usually comes from their fear of you failing. So that's one element of it. And I think with your family, it usually takes families a long time to be okay with the way film works, with us being freelance and having to always, you can make some really good money when you're in the union, but like you're still always looking for your next job. There's no like, hey, I'm gonna work, unless you're on SVU. Then people have been on that show for 20 some years, 25 years now or something. How many seasons has SVU been on, guys?
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's upwards of 20 now, right? So I think
24 is the original.
Right. Yeah. Original flavor is like they stopped for. So I don't know. Who's got the answer, guys? How long has SVU been on? Tell us in the chat. But like that's the thing, is that like if you're not on a TV show, an episodic television show where they do season after season after season, which is not that plentiful from what I know. Like everything is like a Netflix thing now. It's like one-off series or a limited series or a movie or something. We're always constantly looking for the next job. So I think it's just, I don't want to say ignore.
24 years.
24 years. Yeah, Obi-Wan, thank you so much. So I think that it's not about ignoring, but like for me, I would just be like, yeah, Mom, you're right. I would just kind of just not fight. Because when you put the energy into fighting that, it's like your focus is now that, right? So now I'd be like, okay, Mom, yes. But when I'm focusing on, I'll put my energy toward what I'm trying to work on instead. Where it's like, yes, and you will hear them out. You will just be like, yes, I'm going to do this and blah, blah, blah. I'll like, not to just say what you have to appease them, because sometimes that needs to happen.
Yeah, and I think what Amber's story is having a backup and having other things that you're interested in doing, like a barista and other things, will help as well. But letting them know that, and I let my parents know, my true passion is being an AD. I just wanted to be an AD. So there was months where I was borrowing money off my brother to pay rent. But
I borrowed a lot of money.
But I knew that once I got my 600 PA days, that I would join this union. And the union, they were making money that I couldn't even think about when I was a PA.
It honestly is life changing to make like PGA money. It's crazy.
And your money's going towards your health insurance and towards your pension, and so it's huge. The payoff is so big, and I think just reminding them that there is an end goal. You're not at something where the ceiling is going to stop. The money will get way, way better, and I think that's so important. And being able to be in an industry where you can work 6 months a year as an AD and not work the other 6 really. If you're not living above your means.
Right, and you can do something else those other 6 months if you're not on something else.
So having a backup plan and reassuring them, this is what I want to do. This is my passion, and I think that slowly they'll understand that. It's just going to take some time.
Yeah.
It really is, until you make another step, another jump to union or to where you want to go, then they'll understand. But I don't get discouraged, because it happens to everybody.
Yeah.
I think everyone's family understands that freelance is there's highs and there's lows, but in the end it's we're doing what we love to do. And that's the most important thing, and asking that, this is what I want to do. I'm not going to do something I don't want to do.
Also, it doesn't help that the strikes happened. We all know, and I think with the strikes, they think that's going to happen all the time. It'll happen it might happen next year with the Teamsters and IATSE. Let's pray that it doesn't. But that's the thing, is that we're taking that risk, but also they're fighting for certain pay and certain wage and certain rights and stuff like that. So it's not like they just strike for the hell of it, right? So I know with this historical strike and how long it was, with both of them striking at the same time, it was a tough blow for everyone. And I know that puts a lot of doubt in people's minds, for people who are like family members of people who are trying to get in film. So I know, Amanda, it's definitely hard. And I don't want to be like, tone them out, or like tune them out, but tune them out. And just know that what your true north is, and I know, Amanda, you have AD goals, Like, it will take some time. No one understands the timeline that it really takes, really, to become an AD or to get into the DJ or become that episodic director or become that, producer that's producing something all the time. And I think that it just, them not understanding, it's like knowing that they don't understand and then you understand certain things. It's like you've kind of not reached an impasse, but there'll be a moment where you're like, I told you I was going to make it. I had that moment. I loved it.
That's great.
So we're gonna let's see what SVU will be in. Let me go to the chat really quick. 25th season shooting now. The OG. I love how it's like original flavor. The OG Law and Order. 22 seasons with 23 coming soon. Don't let it interfere with your regular job. It's like, okay, so Amanda, that's okay. So that's the thing. Is like, don't let it interfere with your regular job. Be like, okay, and then do what you gotta do. She's like, okay, mom, or okay, whoever's telling you this. Like, got it. No problem. Like, and also, I don't want to, I know parents meddle. I know they just get in your business and that you have to like, it's like sometimes separation. I don't know. Do you still live with your parents? Because maybe moving out, because once you move out and you have a little bit more privacy and freedom to do what you need to do. Because I swear to you, if I were living with my parents while trying to pursue my film career, because to give you the bigger picture is, I'm originally from Buffalo, right? So I moved to New York City after my cruise ship days, and that was like all over the world for like 2 years or something like that. But my parents and my family were back in Buffalo. So they're not seeing my day-to-day. Like, they're worrying from afar, and now my weekly phone calls with my mom, or however often I talk to her, she would give me the whole, what's happening now? Do you have this? Like, even now, with us being in the DGA, it's like, what's going on for the new year, Amber? She just wants to make sure that I'm okay, so that is always going to be a thing. But is she monitoring my everyday life? No. I think if she were, she'd be like, Amber, I think you need to get out there and get a job. People worry with more information, I feel like. The more that she's seeing you try and navigate this whole world of film and trying to get your career, it's like the more they're going to worry. So not to be like, once you get out of, I don't know, out of the house or out of whatever, or, your situation, I think a little separation is always good for trying to live your best life. Okay, I'm gonna go to the next question. We have Scarlett. This is a fun question. Scarlett is also Beyond Film School alum. She's like currently on this Paramount program. I'm so proud of her. I have a fun question. What does one get their colleague's boss for the holidays? Now, we actually had we went to a 50th birthday party this past weekend, and we actually had this happen because like what do we get this person? Because I know this person through work, right? And I think you know him through work as well. So we were like, what do we do? Like, I'm like, okay, for a 50th, we really gotta think, right? So I got him a dope ass pen that I'm kind of jealous that I don't have. I wrote with it. It was like one of those like prestigious pens that came from London or something like that. It was like $60 or something, which I was like, that's not that bad of a gift, because if you're really into like making sure you have a dope ass pen, like that was a really good gift, I thought. And Rob's gift for him was golf balls, because like they golf together, so that just makes sense. So I think you gotta do your research. You have to do your research. Scarlett, you have to kind of like get into like what they're into. What do you notice about them? Do they have colorful ties every day? Maybe you want to get them something fun like that, because I think a tie for guys is like kind of just like
I remember when I was working on set and I was an AD, and I would get my first AD, and I got him like a chair back that said his name on it and the show or something like that. Or I had the actors sign a set of sides and a script for him. So being creative and using what their interests are is the best thing. So, and just make it simple. What you don't want to do, I think, is make it too expensive or something where it's
gonna put you out.
Yeah, and then they feel kind of a way like they had to get you something. So there's always that end of a question: should you even be getting your boss a gift? They should be getting you a gift. But,
yeah.
But I think I want to show my appreciation, so I'm always for it. But I know there's a lot of people that are not, and it definitely creates that question in whether you should or shouldn't do it.
I got a couple of gifts because Set PA trainees, that I had in my class and they come on set, like they'll get me stuff and I'm like, why? No, I'm supposed to. It's always that weird, like I want to make sure that, you know, my gift to you is getting you on set and giving you all the things I can to help your career. But then they're like, oh, I want to give back, and they give me like Amazon gift cards or like Starbucks cards or something. And that's, if you know they drink coffee, then that's, but first of all, you have to know if they're a Dunkin' coffee drinker or they're a Starbucks. Because if you got me a Dunkin', that is just going to go straight in the trash. I'd actually give it away to someone that actually uses it. But, like, you have to notice the things about them that, like, do they...
Just make it simple.
Right. But you got to do your research a little bit. Do your research, know what they're into. Yeah. Ask around, too. So if you know that person has a closer friend, then be like, what are they into? Like, for example, Secret Santa is always tough for everybody. And I remember one year on New Amsterdam... we did crew-wide Secret Santa, so you got, like, someone from a wild department. I got a grip, and luckily he was my friend. But what I did was I was like, hey, you know, what alcohol does he drink? Was he into? And they're like, yeah, he really likes tequila. So I made, like, a Christmas tree out of mini tequila bottles, and I decorated it, and it was, like, a little tree, and then... when we opened the gifts and he was like, can I drink these? I'm like, yeah, they come out. Because it was a hot glue. You can just take it off. So
it's a great gift.
The whole grip department got drunk because of me that day. I'm going to go to the next question. Okay, so Jessica, if you're still here, Jessica has other questions too. So this is actually an interesting question. I wonder where this is stemming from, Jessica. Jessica is also one of my Set PA trainees. So thank you for joining me, Jessica. Is it possible to have two different careers at the same time? Now, this depends on the two different careers, right? So for me, and I think this is a part of my life that a lot of people don't know, is that I used to do student tours. And if I really needed to, I guess I could tap into that world and like start doing student tours again. And, you know, student tours are like, you go to Washington, D.C., and I tell them about the monuments. And the George Washington Monument.
She would be great because she uses her hands to talk all the time. So she would be amazing at that. I know.
But then, like, it's like telling the stories of historical monuments, and I take them from... there was one really dope one I did where it was like Boston, New York, and D.C., and I went like whitewater rafting or something. So while I was pursuing... film, freelance, that whole world of trying to get as many days as I can, I was also a tour director. So, and most of my tours would happen during the slow season. So, for example, it would be like January, February, where it's kind of like a lot colder, so a lot of things don't shoot in New York City. And then May, June seem to be pretty slow too. If you're not on an episodic TV show, it's kind of slow in New York. So I got a lot of my tours during those months of the year, so I knew that I could sustain being a tour director while also trying to pursue film. And that was my life for like a good 2-3 years or something like that until I got a staff job. And then when I got my first staff PA job, that's when I kind of switched over, stopped being a barista and stopped, you know, the tour directing, and then like gave all my time to being a set PA, a staff set PA. So it is possible, but it definitely depends on what the careers are and what the hours are. Because if you're like trying to do 2 full-time jobs, that is going to kill you. I'm just saying. So Jessica, if you're still here, give us some insight. And I want to go to, I think we're still, yeah, okay. So how do I stop being impatient? Girl, how do we all stop being impatient? About where I am, I feel like I'm at a standstill and unmotivated. So we're all going to go through this because I think right now what happens is there's a lot of instant gratification that we get, okay? And with social media, with, you know, the fact that I can email someone halfway around the world and get a response in like 5 minutes, right? Everything is instant now. And I think we are programmed to want everything as soon as possible yesterday. And it's like that on film sets too, where like, I need the background like right now. And you're like, they have to walk like 5-6 blocks. What are you talking about? You know, like we are very impatient. Just because we are film people, we're like, time is money. We have to do this very, very quickly. I'm getting older, all those things, right? So we just have to step back. We really have to step back and be like, realistically, right now, with the strikes that just happened, with holidays happening, right? Like just being over, like I think today is like the first day where it's like, okay, now we can actually start like doing business now. And I think a lot of studios are now starting to look at other shows to greenlight. And I think, not to talk about like the pilot season, but I think pilot season is going to be bigger this year than it was last year because the whole mini writer's room thing got talked about a little bit, and they eliminated some of that stuff. So I think they might go into more traditional pilot structure now, maybe. Who knows? But I think that's what's going to happen. But with the strikes happening and the holidays happening, and there are so few shows shooting right now, like no one's really doing anything right now. Like, and if they are, and you do have friends that are working, it's like your situation is kind of everyone's situation with a few outliers, I think. So I think just taking a step back and being like, everyone's in this situation. I am not alone. That will help. I know that will help. And you're like, I don't want to hear that.
and exactly what you're doing. I think she just said in the chat, so she's working on a real estate license. That's great.
That's perfect.
I think keeping busy and trying to motivate yourself in other ways, taking up other hobbies, just doing things to keep your mind off it, I think is the important part. But also understanding that it will get busier. This time it's tough. You know, it came back like a month too late really for things to start getting up. And again, things aren't going to start flying next week. It will take time, but knowing that it will come back and there will be more shows is the biggest thing. So but it's hard. I am not a patient person, and I get a phone call and it's like, okay, when does it start? When does it start? So you have to step back and understand that it will come. Just give it more time. So just staying positive, I think, is the biggest thing.
That's definitely true. Staying positive and just having like your mindset to be like, it's gonna come. I'm gonna be fine. Also with me, like I interviewed for the job I'm going to start in a month in October. I had a job lined up, which is, listen, a blessing. I know that's a blessing, but like I have to wait till February to start shooting. Like, I was like, what? So that definitely is a test on my patience as well. So Jessica, this goes back to Amanda's question. My parents have been on me about getting a job since the strike. I want to continue to film, but since the strike, I realize I have to have a plan B. So I think to add to like me in my tour directing days, I was also on the barista path and being a manager of a cafe and like owning that. So like that was my plan B. So like I had other things happening. I had a lot of different avenues, and I was also doing like fine art photography as well. So you can definitely like have a lot of things happening at the same time to have like not all your eggs in one basket, as they say.
You kind of need to at this point. And when I was growing up as a PA, I never had a plan B because I was lucky enough to always at least work 3 or 4 days a week. And then I was able to get on big shows when SVU was doing 24 episodes. A lot of shows aren't doing as many episodes now. So I think it is very important to have other interests, to have other side jobs to be able to support yourself when it is slower like it is now.
And I think the fact that you are getting your real estate license is actually good because it is flexible and you can kind of like pop in and out when you need to, you know, and I think that it will make your family feel better that there is something that you can fall back on. Yeah. And I think for me, Beyond Film School is like my fallback in a weird way, like, cause it kept me busy and it like kept me like sort of afloat for a hot minute this year. So and I think maybe if you think about Beyond Film School as a business for me, that's like my other career while I'm also an AD. And you actually asked me this, like, gosh, the first time we ever hung out, like not like our first date or whatever. And he was like, do you see yourself like giving up Beyond Film School and just being an AD? And I like looked him straight in the face. I was like, no. I was like, what do you mean? Because I have always had my YouTube channel and I always thought about it, building the business bit by bit, year by year, growing and growing and growing. And I'm not like trying to make millions, okay? Like that is not the goal, because some people are like, I want to make fucking 7 figures. Like that is not the goal for me for Beyond Film School. The first goal is helping folks out. Just FYI, that's the first goal for me. Because if I'm not helping anybody, what the hell am I here for, right? So, but that's the thing, is like it's a whole separate entire part of my life, but also I love ADing. I love being on set. 2 different worlds. I know I'm talking about film with Beyond Film School, but it's running a business is wildly different than running a set. Yeah. Sometimes I like running a set better.
Yeah. And look at that, Jessica and Amanda. Amanda said Jessica Torres, I'm in real estate too. So you guys should connect. You guys should talk to each other and see whereabouts in that process you are, and hopefully be able to use each other to bounce ideas off, or if you have any questions. So I think that's awesome that this platform is able to connect people about real estate when this is not about real estate. And I know nothing about it. Amber knows nothing about it. So being able to introduce 2 people through that, I think is really cool.
Okay, so I want to, let's see, we were on Jessica. The next question is, when is the next challenge? Now, or Vanessa is also a Set PA trainee, and she was a producer on Zugzwag. They had horror, right? They had the horror genre. They had the toughest genre, or no, they had suspense, supernatural thriller. That's right, supernatural thriller was like the toughest genre out of all the things that anyone could have. But the next challenge, I have not set the dates yet for the film challenge. So anyone that is in Beyond Film School, if you are a Beyond Film School alum, you are eligible to be in the film challenge. It is only for Beyond Film School alumni. So I have 2 classes coming up. I was going to say next year. I'm like, oh, we're in the new year now, 2024. So my February class and my June class, yes, I do have another class coming up June 22nd, that weekend. You guys will be eligible to take the next film challenge. So I'm hoping for 5 teams this year, and I'm thinking it will be a July-ish, August launch for the film challenge this year.
How about if you take the class online? Are you in part of it?
Yeah, no, so if you definitely take my online course as well, you are eligible. So Amanda, you've taken the online course, you are eligible to be in the film challenge of this year. So that is, like, listen, film challenge, I have so much fun with this. Oh my goodness. I swear I want to be a team leader next year. I don't care. I know I'm like the team leader of I don't know, like, what did I call myself? Challenge leader. Sorry, I was a challenge leader because I was like the top person, but I was like, I'm on my own team. That's whatever. Okay, so what we're gonna
just stay tuned, Vanessa, and we'll let you know.
Yeah.
Through the channel when that's gonna
Vanessa also changed careers totally. So I'm actually like, she's now a hotel manager. She started out as an assistant manager, and now she's like a regional manager. Like, she moved up very quickly. Like, she used her skills in film and moved up very, very, very quickly. Where I was just like, wow. Like, and she should be on my job in February, but she decided to change gears, and now she's so happy. She's got like a regular, she's like in Boston living her best life, and she's got like stable hours. She's got real money now, because as a PA you ain't making no money until you actually reach those next levels of like whatever department, or if you're trying to be an AD or whatever. But Vanessa, she's not watching this right now. She's probably working. So our last question now, this is gonna be a little deep. I got this through Instagram. I skipped one question. I know, like, Paula asked. She was like, what romantic adventure is Rob gonna take you on next this year?
That's a great question. I need a job first, though.
We both need jobs. Okay. Thoughts on the unfair wage gap, and is it a fight for you to get a bigger rate? I hear a lot of talk from The Color Purple. So The Color Purple that is out now, first of all, I do want to watch it. I have not watched it yet, but I have heard it is definitely phenomenal. And the thing with that is Taraji Henson, right? Am I saying her last name right? I'm not sure. She had a video where she was interviewed by, I believe, oh gosh, she was on some talk show, and she said that she got basically peanuts for making Benjamin Button, because she was on that, in that movie with Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt got like, I don't know, millions of dollars, and she only got $150,000 for that role on Benjamin Button. But now, back in the day, what year Benjamin Button came out? 2000 something, right? That was a hot minute ago. So I don't know.
Obi-Wan will tell us.
Yeah, Obi-Wan tell us when
year.
Benjamin Button came out. What year Benjamin Button came out? So she worked on that movie, and then she recently had this TikTok video go viral about how she basically just made enough money to pay for her son's tuition. And I like broke down the numbers when she was like saying this. I was like, okay, $150,000. She was saying that like 50% goes to her agency team, which I think is, I'm sorry, that's fucking highway robbery. I'm sorry, 50%? I thought agency, 2008, thank you, Raul, thank you so much. 2008, so that was a hot minute ago. That, I mean, granted, like, Brad Pitt is an A-lister. Taraji, she is famous, but I don't think at the same caliber as Brad Pitt as far as fame is concerned. Talent is a whole other matter, because she is definitely, like, talented. But also her being a female person of color is also another factor. Him being this white male where he's getting like fucking millions and millions of dollars for any role he plays, but then she's got to play like a big role to even get like 6 figures, you know? So that was the whole thing. So she said 50% went to her agency. Oh no, 50% went to taxes. That when you make that type of money, this is true. when you make six figures and above, 50% of your money goes to taxes. Sorry, like Uncle Sam is taking half of that shit. So then now and she said 30% went to her agency, for her agents and her management team. I'm like, oh my God, I'm sorry, you gotta renegotiate that like percentage. I don't know how you feel about that. 30% is a lot. So then she's left with only 20%, and that was $30,000, and that paid her tuition for her son to go to college or school, whatever private schools he went to. So the wage gap is still pretty fierce right now. Do I personally have to fight for a bigger rate? No, because thankfully, regardless of if white, say you're a second and I'm going for the same job as a second, because we're in the union, that protects us. We can get the same rate. Can we fight for a higher rate? Yes, we can. But I'm like, the rate is so insane for a second and a second AD and a first AD. It's like, you can negotiate upwards if you want, if you had that caliber and you can do that. Or if you do have an agent, first ADs actually have agents. You can have an agent as a first AD. Do you need to have one? No, you don't need an agent to be a first AD, but you can have one that protects you to get bigger wages. For example, a first AD, we know he has an agent and he fights to make sure that he gets a rental car no matter whatever job he's on, that he gets higher than the standard rate for a first AD. Yeah. And so there are certain things you can fight for. Do I need to fight for a fair wage? No, because I'm in the union. That protects me, thank God. Now, if I were on an indie shoot, do I ask for more money? Fuck yeah, I ask for more money. And like, because I remember the first time I asked for more money when someone was like, oh, I only want to pay, like $400. And I was like, I don't think I can do it, but I can do it for like $650 a day. And I got my rate. And they agreed. So sometimes you just have to ask. And I'm not saying Taraji did not ask for that, because I'm sure her team probably fought for what they could. But it is, it is crazy when you think about actors, how much they get paid, and you think they're getting paid a lot, but a lot of their money goes to so many people to get them that job, so it's tough. I don't know how everyone else feels about that, but it's crazy. I'm gonna go to the chat really quick. So you can say? No,
you said it really well.
Damn real, I was in the middle of writing this. One of the actresses, stunt woman of The Color Purple, was in a car crash today. Oh my God, that's so horrible. Obi-Wan, oh my God.
Putting us down.
I know, oh my God.
We'll be thinking about her.
Okay, so that was the last one. There are a couple questions in the chat that I wanted to get to. Katie, I definitely see your question. There was one from Bianca. Shout out to Bianca. Hey, Bianca. Let's see. And I have one from Ro as well. I have a couple, so don't. Okay, let's see. We got to this one. Where's the one from Bianca? Let's see.
Bianca's right there about the musician. Down.
No, hold on.
Oh.
As a PA, okay, so crazy, just spelled different. You're trying to trip me up. Okay. As a PA, is there ever a good time to pitch a script to? No. I don't even have to finish that goddamn sentence. Okay. As a PA, is there ever a good... You're like, oh no. Okay. As a PA, is there ever a good time to pitch a script to an above-the-line person, or is it always just never your place to even attempt such a thing? Now, first, the simple answer is no. You cannot do this as a PA, because you will not be asked back. You are going to lose your opportunity to be on set, because they're like, get this fucking kid out of here right now. They're going to I've seen this happen so many times. Don't let this be you. Okay, so the other thing I'm going to say is there are proper channels you have to go through to pitch your script if it is written. Unfortunately, it is through like messaging people, networking. And when you're a PA, they see you as a PA, not a script writer. So you have to go through proper channels to do that. And pitching is a whole other realm of things that I can't even get into right now. But when you are pitching a script to people, like, first of all, have you had FaceTime with that producer? I think the best course of action, if you've made a connection with a line producer or above the line person, like a director or another producer or some EP or whatever, if you had that connection, say, hey, can we set up a meeting? That is when you do that. Like, I want to talk to you about things I have. Like, we'll set up a meeting on when you have extra time on the weekends, or a call after we wrap the show, or whatever the case may be. It depends on the relationship you have with the person. But if you are out the gate a PA being like, hey, can I pitch my script to you? Bad news bears, man.
Yeah, there's just a time and a place for it, and you were hired as a production assistant. Your job is to help the show on that level. and it's not an easy way to giving that to a producer. It's just not professional, and 9 out of 10 times the producer is not going to even take it, and if he does, he's not going to even read it.
Right.
And that's not the way you want to carry yourself. There is proper channels that producer, if he or she respects you and sees potential in you, would want to do it anyway. So there's just a way to do it, and if you don't know, ask a friend or research it online, but going through a meeting, giving it to someone who then gives it to that person. So then if that person decides to pass, they can let the other person know. So you're not generally a part of that decision right away. If that person is excited about it, then that meeting will be set up. But it has to go through a third party to be able to be legit and to go through the professional steps it takes.
So I have seen this happen where people have submitted their scripts and they get stolen. That idea gets stolen. And because you didn't go through proper channels, you didn't go through an agency, and you didn't have anyone protecting you. Yeah. So sometimes that'll happen where they'll I'll take it. Here's the thing, if you are a PA and you ask someone like, hey, I have the script I wrote, oh my God, I have the script that I wrote, would you care to look at it? If they were like, yeah, sure, I would be very weary. I would be like, whoa, they are way too, they are too accepting, because sometimes that's when they're out to take advantage of you, and that's something you definitely want to avoid. Also, what I will say about the script, and I had it for a second, and making sure that you go through the proper channels and setting up a meeting, is you want to make sure that, oh my goodness, I don't know, it's so tough because you want to shoot your shot. I understand that. You definitely want to shoot your shot, but you can't do it when you're in that place of being a PA, because they see you only as that.
That's a good point.
Right. They only see you as that. And I had something else too I wanted to add to this. It's going to come back to me. Guys.
No, that's a really good point, because there will be a time and a place for that, and you just have to get out of your environment as a PA and put yourself into that role. Take a meeting and dress up and look professional, and they'll take you more seriously. I think it's just more of a desperate plea of and I think there was a time back in 20, 30 years ago where that happened. Some big director maybe got their start, but I don't think it happens as much now. I think there's just so many channels, and there's so many more people that are writing scripts. There's so many more avenues. Get yourself into a screenplay event or
they have writers labs and stuff.
Yeah, writers labs and just a lot of other different avenues to go where your script will get more views, and so you're able to get that done in the way you want to get it done.
What I also wanted to say, now it came back to me. Thank God it came back to me. So if it depends on the relationship you have with some of these above the line people, you could make a connection with a director or an EP or a producer. You have to wait for the question, what do you want to do? If you get that question, say, I wrote this script, I'm actually pitching it right now. That'll start the conversation in a more natural, or I hate saying organic way, but it's more them asking you than you pushing it on them. So you have to remember, you have to wait for your opening sometimes. Yes, I am an advocate for creating your own path and advocating for yourself and making sure you're shooting your shot. You get those opportunities, you create the thing that you want, but you sometimes have to wait to be asked. Wait for that conversation to come your way, and they say, what are you trying to do in the industry? Which it does happen. I guarantee it does happen. If you are liked by that person, you make a connection, they want to know what you're going to do with your career. Because we know PAs should not be PAs forever, guys. You should not be a PA forever. If that is your goal to be a PA forever, until they unionize, you're going to be making not that great money. You're going to be suffering for no reason. So move up, guys. So I'm going to go on to the, so Crazy, I hope that we answered your question and gave you some valuable feedback. I hope. Okay. So Dallas and Digital Productions, Amber, what should I have on me carry while working as a PA?
Don't you have a video on this?
I do have a video on this.
Check it out, people. She has all the tools that you have to carry on your belt,
manager, guys.
On your belt, in your pocket, and there's all the stuff on the website, beyondfilmschool.com, which you can order from too. It's a paid advertisement.
Thank you, Rob.
Beyond Film School.
But what I will say is, first and foremost, you need to have a Sharpie, you need to have a hot brick on you, call sheets, sides. You need to have an external battery to make sure your phone doesn't die, because that's how I lost a gig myself, because my phone died. Let's see. I always have, yeah, I have my like gold, I can probably like bust it out. But surveillance, you want to make sure you do not have an open walkie. So some people like to carry paper on them and like a notepad. I don't really advise that because you can use the back of your sides for note taking, or you can use your note in your phone, your note app. So that's something. So yeah, hot brick, definitely a must. Hard copy of your call sheet, because yes, you're going to get a PDF or you're going to get a digital version of it, but like, sometimes you won't be able to open it. Sometimes you don't have service. You can't open your email or whatever. So hard copies would go. Pen, Sharpie, hot brick, call sheet, sides. Boom.
Nailed it.
Surveillance.
Great. And your name on a piece of paper, so in case someone wants it.
That dot card that I like fiercely talk about all the time. So the next question is from Raul Hernandez. What are your thoughts on how the job market will be like this year now that the strikes are behind us? So that's a really great question. I did touch on it a little bit because right now, the only thing that's really shooting right now are the things that got shut down prior to the strike of when the actors were on strike. So things are finishing out right now, right? I do think that pilot season is going to be a thing. I think March is the month where things are going to start really ramping up. February, things will be more and more in prep, and then March is when things are going to, I think, start shooting. So as we come into the springtime, there's definitely going to be more and more things. So I'm hoping. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think once the shows that are filming now debut in February and those ratings become more widespread, I think then we're going to see an uptick in shows that will be coming out March, April, May. But until then, things that start in January would have been prepping in December or kind of starting up. So January might be a little slow, but I can see it becoming more and more, getting busier, once we see some more ratings of the older shows. But if those older shows are still doing really well in the ratings, it might be a little bit of a slower year than usual. So just trying to get back, but I know that production companies and studios will want to spend more money. Right now, I think they're just being a little bit cautious on how they spend their money and new productions. But productions like centers like New York and New Jersey still has a lot of big plans to open up new studios to be able to bring more and more shows. So I don't think any of that will slow down, and I really see this New York, New Jersey area being highly successful in the 5 to 10 year plan with shows.
Yeah, there's like new studios like just popping up everywhere. I hope it like works out. So next question is from Bianca. I have a cousin who is a musician. How could he get involved as a composer on the project? Now, Bianca, if you're still here, is this the same cousin that composed the song for Mrs. Ortiz from the Film Challenge? Because if this is so, that is helping him or her, I think it was a guy, because you're building his credits that way. So that's something. He could, Obi-Wan, you did say a portfolio. Yes. But building your portfolio is probably like the tangible thing that is something that they'll need to do. Offer to compose something for short films. Get in those film groups, and if you see any posts like, hey, I'm making a movie, offer your composing services for free. Build your portfolio that way. And this could be freebie, but like musicians, they can like, for short films, they can just like come up with something like very, very quickly. So it might not take that much time, but if you're offering to compose on certain short films and stuff that you see in Facebook groups, or, maybe you might see something on Instagram where like, hey, we need crew for this. If they're looking for crew, most likely, and if it's a low budget short film or whatever, commercial, blah, 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 they probably don't have anyone composing because they don't have money for that. So if you're offering to compose for these short films, you're going to stack up these credits, and you'll be like, and when they start growing and they start actually getting more money in for their bigger and bigger projects, they're going to spread your name around, and you're getting more and more that way. So Bianca, I hope you're still on to get that advice to your cousin.
Yeah, I would say going to film festivals. I remember when I had a short film that I produced, we would go to short film festivals, and we would meet other people in the industry that did another short film or weren't even involved with a short film but wanted to become more involved. And I remember taking cards from other people, producers and maybe even a musician to be part of it. So go to a film festival and talk about each other's films, or say, hey, I enjoyed your film, I'm a composer, at your next film if you need some music. So I think that's definitely a way to see some films, but also get your name out to other people.
I think this, like, hope Bianca is still on. Bianca, are you with us? Oh my god. I'll like text her, like, just so we answer your question. All right, so the next question is coming from Karis. I am transitioning from screenwriting to producing. What is the best way to network as a development producer for a production company startup? Is it best to attend events or cold contact people? I would do both, to be quite honest with you. I think there always has to be more than one tactic that you use or one strategy. I think it's just a combination of both because, yes, you can contact people through email and DMing and LinkedIn and messaging and all that stuff, social media and people's websites and stuff. But I think there's nothing better than kind of having that FaceTime with someone too and getting your face out there. Because what's going to happen is that the more and more events that you're at and you're getting in more and more circles, people will notice that you're around more. So I think that is useful to do both. I don't know, do you have any opinion?
Yeah, no, just getting out there, using LinkedIn, using a bunch of other platforms that have that, but also researching new production companies.
Yeah.
And help trying to figure out context through them. But yeah.
I think LinkedIn is actually a really good resource that a lot of people don't utilize in the film industry because they think that it's just like, oh, just for corporate professionals. We're like, we're on LinkedIn. We're freelance film people. We get contacted all the time for people who are like, oh, can I pick your brain about something? Also, I have something to say about that. I recently had someone contact me, set up a meeting with me, and did not show up to the meeting. And then after the meeting I canceled the meeting because I was like, well, I have to move on to my next phone call because I had a Beyond Film School person that I was like, mentoring and I had a meeting with. And I was like, well, I'm not going to wait around for this person. And then she was like, can I schedule another meeting? No, you cannot. You've blown your shot. So word to the wise is just make sure if you're setting up meetings with anybody, make sure you keep them. And if you miss them, apologize profusely. And like she was just like, can I just reschedule? No, you can't. Sorry, you've lost your chance.
Just give the heads up before time. Giving that is such a important tool because our Amber's time is valuable and she has a lot of things to do. So knowing beforehand, hey, something came up, can I reschedule, goes a long way. So being professional in that way, is important.
I think if you reach out to production companies that are on LinkedIn that not like they're the ones that don't have a crazy big following, you like focus on the ones that have a smaller following that aren't getting crazy buzz or like they're really in their infancy. You can probably really get in nicely with those people who are like, if that is your like production company startup, yes, you can totally do that. I definitely would target your messaging and stuff to like people who are like just starting out, and look for those companies on LinkedIn. Let's see. I'm just trying to, is it best to just attend events or yeah, I think it's just both. I definitely use both. Let's see other questions. I don't think I missed any. When people redact their messages, it's just like, I wonder what they had. No, I'll never know because they redacted them. Okay. I'm going to go to the chat because I'm at the bottom. Yes, Amanda, first impression. Oh, good. Bianca's still here. Yeah, great. Okay, let's see. I mean, Brad was Benjamin Button and the face of that movie, so I mean, expect to get paid as high as him when you have a smaller role. I mean, I get that. I get it. And that was years ago, and I think this was like his high time. Like, this was like peak Brad Pitt during that time. So that just makes sense, like why he would get millions. He's the face of the movie. Like, you are a supporting role. I get that. Okay, so not that Taraji is not talented. Yo, she is. Just saying, she is. Enough to get that sort of money now, but back then, Brad was near the top of the list. So, yes, this is true. That is a fact at the time. So it's kind of weird what's happening with the whole Taraji and her kind of being like, oh my God, I'm not getting paid enough. I don't want to be like, it's not a PR stunt because this is a fact that a lot of stars don't get paid enough. They don't get paid enough to like, live a certain lifestyle. But also like, I don't know what her lifestyle is. I don't know what her budget books look like. I don't know what happened on that set. There's a lot of hearsay about what happened and like it is being spun like 4 different ways. So I don't know. I've seen people holding first ADs and KPA's favorite snacks in their packs too.
Yes, we used to have a drawer in the Honey Wagon that said Staples on it. And that was my secret drawer for food and snacks that the paperwork PA had to make sure was always full. So that is a great idea to connect with people.
For me, when I'm on set, all I want is black coffee and gum. If you offer me anything else, they're like, Amber, you want anything from Crafty? No. I'm gluten-free. I have celiac disease, so I can't eat the glorious gluten of, like, donuts, croissants, all the shit they have at Crafty that I can't eat. So I don't go to Crafty unless there's fruits and vegetables there. But sometimes some Crafties will have nothing but junk food of carbs, and I can't eat any of that stuff. But people are like, do you want anything from Crafty? And I'm like, don't. If you have a piece of gum, I will take a pack of gum every time. And I can't remember who it was, but on my one show, my PA would come up to me just a pack of gum without even asking, and I'm like, this is great.
Yeah, that's a big thing too. As a PA, I would always know what the first AD or what the second's breakfast was, so I would be able to ask ahead of time, hey, do you want your same breakfast in the morning? Or hey, here's a hot break after lunch just in case you want to switch out your walkies. So just anticipating those kind of things, I think, goes a long way on a set.
Yeah, that is so, so true. So, good. Bianca, I'm really glad that you heard that advice. Definitely pass it on to him. Definitely, like, all the short films. And I hope he's gonna, like, come on into the film challenge again. He can compose on multiple shorts if he wants to. He can compose on all the team shorts. Let's do that. Let's get him like 4 credits, 5 credits in one go. Let's do it. So Amanda, yes, first impressions are everything, 100%. Okay, Brad
Jessica
got 10 million.
something.
Oh, Jessica, wait, I almost skipped you over. Okay, sorry. When is your next networking event? So I don't hold networking events, although I'm trying to brew up an actual networking event that I design, and I want to be fun because I want a networking event. Because who has been there? They've gone to these networking events, and you just go to a bar, and there's just a bunch of people talking. You don't know anyone in this room, and you're like, fuck, I have to try and get into these conversations. I have to get into the circles, and I'm like, oh my God. It is so, for me, those networking events are very, very challenging. Do I still go to them? Yes, I do. Because I know it's good for me. But I wanted to do a networking event where it's like speed networking, but then there's there's a time limit to each person you talk to. Because what happens is that you end up talking to a person, and then you're like, oh my God, this is great. You do this, you did, and then the conversation kind of dies, and you don't really know how to end the conversation. So I wanted to put like a time limit, and when you hear like a bell, you have to move on to a different person.
Like speed dating.
Like speed dating, but like sort of not, where it's like everyone knows that you're only supposed to talk to that person for a certain amount of time. So there's not like this awkwardness of like, I want to get the fuck out of this conversation. But then you actually meet more people that way, because sometimes what happens is you get comfortable talking to the person you're talking to for so long, you don't talk to anybody else. So I want to make a networking event, but my networking course is March 10th. It is one day. It is 8 hours. It is crash course. You can connect. I'll teach you how to make connections. I'll teach you how to like get out of your comfort zone. We're going to work on an elevator pitch. We're going to work on how to talk to people, how to read people. I can't wait to do this course. So that is March 10th.
Yeah, and I saw kind of the syllabus of it, and it's incredible. Some of the things she talks about is mind-blowing. And if I had known that as a PA, and I would not have been stuck as an AD for so long without moving up. I was second AD for a long time. And if I had gotten some of these advice and being able to get out of my comfort zone and meet new people and what to say to them, I would have been a first AD a lot faster. So definitely check it out. It's hands-on and it takes work. But for the people that want to see it, they will do the work. And I think that she's an incredible teacher that will help you with that.
Well, thank you.
Welcome.
I'm gonna put that information in the chat for you guys. It'll come up, but it is my networking course, and yes, I don't want to like spill the beans now, but I'm definitely gonna write a book. No one has written this book yet, and I'm going to write this book, and that is actually one of my goals for 2024 is to write the film networking book that does not exist, because I want there are networking books. Yes, there's like hashtag entry-level boss, which was kind of helpful, but doesn't really tailor it to film people. And then there's the other one was like Hollywood Drive, which has one little section. Actually, and I have these books here. I have them. I study all the things. So, and then there's like one chapter about networking, and I just want like a whole book that just is tailored to networking, because it is what is going to make or break your career. Literally, it is what helped Rob get to be a first. It is literally what got me to be in DGA, and it is what stops a lot of people from actually moving to the next level.
Yeah. And it's so different in film and TV than networking to be a lawyer or networking to be a doctor. There's just so many different levels to what we do, and there's no one way to get there. And I think it's you're a doctor for this many years. You're a teacher, you get tenure. You don't get tenure as an AD.
Nope, you can be fired at any moment.
Right, and you're very replaceable. So
Yeah.
you know, and our contracts go a couple months at a time, and then we have to find another one. So networking is a key. You don't have to have that as other professions or you don't have to have it, and it doesn't weigh as much as it does in film. So.
Yeah, it really is like it is your lifeline. The people you know is what get you jobs. So I just cannot stress this enough, and I don't know how or why I changed my focus, because, you know, Beyond Film School is about training set PAs, get them on set, and then when you get on set, you have to just figure out once you're on set, like, where do you go next? So this is like the next level. Oh my God, Ebony, hello, Ebony. Hi, E, what's going on? I'm so glad she's here. I need to take this course because, man, am I burnt out. It is March 10th. It is one day. And if you are a Beyond Film School alumni, you get 25% off. Because I love my alumni, and I know this is like the next level. And I've changed the structure, because Ebony, you were on my free training, breaking film barriers, and that was like a whole course that was like 8 fucking weeks, and I was like, this is not, and I talked to Amanda also, thank you again, Amanda, for giving me feedback, Jay for giving me feedback as well, about like, what could I create for you guys that, first of all, is affordable, where I actually, yes, I'm a business person, but also, what can I give you guys that is affordable and like tangible, that gives you faster results? And that's what it's a part of. Like, I want you guys on set. I want you guys to network your fucking asses off and do it confidently while being yourselves. Because that is the thing, is that with networking, you think you have to be somebody else. You should be you, because there's only one you, and you are going to attract the people that are, you know, your kindred spirits. You can't be anyone else. And also, when you're trying to be someone you're not, you can't sustain that. That's a fast track to burnout as well. I can't, like, if I wasn't who I was and I'm like trying to be this like extroverted person, like, I just can't be.
Yeah, and there's no one way to do it. So this is going to be tailored to you guys. So every single person and part of this class is different, but there are techniques and skills that everyone can use, and then you tailor it to how you feel comfortable doing. Right. And that's the biggest thing, is that there's just no one way to success, and it varies, and there's ups and there's downs, but
Facts.
There is a system, and there is techniques and ways to stay positive. And if you don't have those ways, it's dark, it's hard. So this is going to be great for everyone to be able to use, no matter where you are in your career. What kind of gum do you love? I gotta answer this for OB1. Is it Trident?
What?
No, it's he wants to know what kind of gum you
Where?
like.
Where's this question? What kind of gum? Where?
Type of gum, amber.
We have the type of where? Oh, okay. What type of gum? I know why you're like pointing that out. I know exactly why I don't like fruity gum. I think fruity gum is the grossest thing. It has to be mint. It has to be mint gum, but my all-time favorite is Dentine Ice Arctic Chill. I have a favorite gum. Dentine Ice Arctic Chill is like the best gum on the planet. I swear to God, it'll last me like hours and hours. It's like hit you in the face with mint is amazing. That's so funny. I have like a very specific gum.
Of course you do.
And the funny thing is, it's in a black package.
Very much on brand with who Amber is.
Oh, I remember the first time I had this gum, I worked at Eckerd. Does anyone remember the store Eckerd? Like, it was you're like, I have no idea what this is. People from Buffalo know, was it a store outside of Buffalo? I have no idea, but it was sort of like a Rite Aid. It was like a Rite Aid, but I worked at Eckerd when I was in high school. Like, I worked there part-time, and my manager was like, this is the best gum ever. And after that, I was like, sold, this is the best gum ever. And that's been my gum since then. And that's been like, I don't know, 20 years or something. God, that was like when I was like 15. God's more than 20 years. Oh my goodness. Oh. Okay. Jessica had a question. Is the AD the best of both worlds? Both on set and in the production office, or producer? Girl, we're ADs. I do not work in the office. I fucking hate working in the office. I hate prep, but I do it because I have to. I know he feels differently about it.
Yeah, I mean, the ADs, when you're a first or second AD, you do have a prep aspect of it, so you
Yeah.
get to the quality of life is just a little better than being a PA or being a second. So I think that's what you mean, but I'm not sure if I understand your question completely. But
Right. So I think this is a matter of like, you don't know what you don't know, and I think because you don't know what being an AD fully entails, this is kind of like, I don't want to say like an ignorant question, because you just don't know what you don't know. So when we're in prep, we deal with like the producers, the directors, blah blah blah, all the people. But once we're on set, we're on set. Right? But if you are working episodic where you are rotating ADs, where like one team's in prep, one team's on set, then it gets kind of be like, okay, then there is some production, there is some on set work. But when you're doing like, for example, a movie, you have prep time for maybe like a 4 or 5 week shoot. You're probably in prep for 4 or 5 weeks. And the first AD is going to be like the first AD in prep, working with the producers and the UPM and the director and the director of photography and all the heads of the departments, but not really the production office. The production office is a complete other entity, I think, in itself. It's its own department, right? So like when an AD is prepping, we actually do utilize the help of the production office, meaning the production coordinator, the production secretary. Like we might have to contact them for certain things, but we don't really work in the production office. Like we're not, because if you think about the production office as a department, not just as a place, the production office is a separate department that does other things.
Yeah, there are support system. There are support for all the departments.
Right.
It's like the home base. Everything goes through them. All paperwork goes through them. Everything is structured through them. Everything is produced by them. All paper and everything like that. So it's our home base, but it's a tool. It's not in its own department, but yeah.
Yeah. So with I just want to do Jennifer and Galana, the authors of Keys to the Production Office. I want to do right by them, because the production office is the hub of the communication. And what we do as ADs, it's like, here's the production office. ADs have their own thing. They're like, we're on the side. Because like UPM, and then the UPM has like shooting crew, and then the production office, and like we are in like the shooting crew because we deal with the shooting crew. So the AD, I feel like for me, because if I'm ADing a movie, I get enough prep. I hate prep. I don't know why. I just want to get on set. I want to shoot. That's what I want to do. I hate the meetings, and like we have to go over like every goddamn shot, and like we have to talk about, like I like shooting. I know you love prep. You're like all about.
I just
prep,
feel like it's necessary, and you.
There's no debate.
If you don't
totally
love that aspect of it, I think it's you'll learn to love it. I think the more and more you do it, you'll learn to love it. But you have to love that equally, I think, in a way, because it's so important. How you prep is how you shoot, and if you don't prep well, then things are gonna go wrong that you didn't anticipate. But I do understand that it's a very different mindset. It's a very different kind of structure. So.
I know that prep is very important. I know it's needed. It's just like the evil that comes with my fun job. And I know what happens in prep is, the one thing I hate that happens in pre-production for any production is we go over the what if scenarios, and that drives me fucking crazy, because you can stay in that circle, that vicious cycle of what if this happens, what if this happens. And I know as an AD we have to have plan Bs. But then there is a point where you overthink it to like, it's just too much, and I yes, have a plan B, yes, know what the worst case scenarios are, but then don't obsess over them. And I think that is something that happens in prep all the time.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm done with my soapbox for like how I hate prep. But Jessica, I don't know if that answered your question. I hope it did. I don't know. Let's see. I'm reading your question one more time to just make sure. Where is it? I'm like, okay, is it? I don't know. But producer, is that the best of both worlds for prep and shooting? I think so. Jessica, my question was vague because I would like to be a producer, but I also want to be on set. And I feel like producers aren't on set as much, seeing the magic behind the scene, or I could be wrong. So the producers, really, you can be on set more, because if you're a creative producer, if you're one that has, it's like, for example, if you're the writer and the producer, you're definitely going to be on set. I would be on set if I was a writer producer. The creative producers are definitely more and more on set. Like, there's always one producer that's like the main producer you want to go to that's always on set. Not all of them are on set, so it just depends, right? Because it's like, you're like, I want a little bit of the production office, I want a little bit of the set life. I think maybe UPM might be the best of both worlds, because the UPM controls both worlds. So I think the UPM is like straight down the middle, where they're in prep, they have the office at their disposal for whatever they need done, but then they're also on set, and they're also calling the shots on set too. So
yeah, and I think it's just different. Every project is different. You know, the project that I was last on, the UPM never came to set and was always prepping with the prep team. And then would check in with the set every day, and the call sheet went through approval for him or her, but they were never on set. So I think it just depends on, every different set is different with producers and how they are on set, and maybe they're either or, it's depending on.
So I'm going to answer Obi-Wan's question. He goes, Amber, please tell me it's not a sugar-free version. If you know, you know. I don't want to gross people out about the coating of sugar-free gum. So if you're chewing sugar-free gum or sugar gum, it's bad for your teeth, guys. You don't chew gum that has sugar in it, because then it's just sugar. It's just on your teeth all day, and that's how you get cavities. That's everyone's dental lesson for the day. So of course dentine, because that is like the word dentine stems from having gum that doesn't ruin your teeth. So I think Dentine as a company has like dedicated their brand to making sure they don't fuck up your teeth.
Wow, this live stream just went in a whole different direction here.
But it's true. Sugar-free gum is what you should be chewing. Because it's going to be on your teeth a lot. Oh my goodness. This has been such a really, really great live stream. Thank you, Rob, for being here.
I'm very, very, very thankful for it.
I should do, if you guys want Rob back, let me know.
He's very busy right now. I'm not really busy at all.
So thank you guys so much. A couple things I have happening this year. Okay, we're starting with, obviously, you guys know I put the cat out of the bag. I'm going to try and write this film networking book 100%. That's not going to be out till 2025. Okay, so that is something that is not going to be, I'm going to be writing it 2024. Even though I'm ADing during the week, I'm being like on the weekends, we're going to try to like do the things I have to do. I don't know, self-publishing. I'm trying to like pitch my book to other, like a publishing company that I think might take the book. Who knows? There's a lot of things that are going to happen there. Set PA class happening in February. The wait list is still open for that. The wait list is kind of getting long, so probably your best bet is to sign up for the June class I have, June 22nd, Set PA class for that. And Bianca says more Rob, please. Yeah, Rob. I think we're pretty good together.
She said
this is good.
I don't know who Ub is, but Rob. Okay, thanks, Bianca.
So February Set PA class, you'll see pictures from that. I have my June class as well. Also, my networking course is a one-day workshop. It is going to be so fun. I have so many good exercises for this. This is not going to be like sitting around looking at a fucking PowerPoint being like, oh, I should do this. No, we're going to get up. We're practicing some things. We're going to get you out of your comfort zone. We're going to make you a better networker, a better connector with people. That is March 10th. And I will put the link again for that in the chat if you want. I really am driving this home because this is something new that I have not done. Right? My networking course is brand friggin' new. And also, if you are beyond film school, I will give you a code for that. If you're alumni, I'll give you a code so you get 25% off because I got to treat my alumni right. Okay? And then also, we have the film challenge happening in July and August. So that's like my whole year right there. It's crazy. So thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you all for such very, very great questions. Thank you, Rob, for being here. This has been really great. That is it for now, and I shall see you guys next time.